This is the Orioles POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Baltimore Orioles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You still believe in that Orioles magic, Birdland? I hope you do. Good evening. Welcome to the Baltimore Orioles postcast here on this Saturday night. Final score from the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, the Baltimore Orioles 4 and the Chicago Cubs 3. Thanks for tuning in to the Orioles postcast. We stream live to YouTube after every Baltimore Orioles game, so much as you can stand in this season. And the O's, even the series with the Chicago Cubs, one of the NL's front runners for a potential pennant run. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from, your takeaways from this game, and your reaction to Gunnar Henderson and the O's stealing this game in the 8th inning from the Chicago Cubs. The story had been the same through 2 games and through 18 innings of a Baltimore Orioles scoreless streak. Coming out of the trade deadline and some of your core offensive pieces missing, the wind's blowing in, and you're going up against, and this is no exaggeration, elite pitching. Matt Boyd might be number 2 in the Cy Young race behind Paul Skeens in the NL. So for the fact that the O's can break out of this offensive slump and stick it to one of the best teams in baseball is worth talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Thanks for tuning in. See, we got someone from Charlestown, West Virginia climbing into the chat right now. The scoreless streak is snapped at 18-plus innings. Winds blowing in. You had Cade Horton yesterday, the former Oklahoma standout, and Matt Boyd in the midst of an all-star season, one of his best seasons ever, trying to improve to 10-0 in home games at Wrigley Field. And so it's interesting previewing this series with some guys from Chicago. You had an offense for Baltimore coming in that averaged 10 runs per game in their most recent homestand. And then you lose Ramon Laureano, team leader in home runs, along with Cedric Mullins, who is now in New York. Laureano and O'Hearn played last night for San Diego for the first time. Didn't do a whole lot. I saw O'Hearn got hit in the shin guard in his first plate appearance there for the Padres as they beat the Cardinals. But going up against Matthew Boyd, the arm action is akin to Trevor Rogers. And just as Trevor Rogers carved up the Cubs as much as he could yesterday in that 1-0 complete game, a loss, sadly, for Trevor, Matthew Boyd did the exact same. Go 7 scoreless, his 15th quality start of the season, 68 strikes on 92 pitches. So the O's couldn't muster up anything in the first 7 innings, save for Jeremiah Jackson. 25-year-old recently recalled from AAA Norfolk, where he was hitting .377. Given the makeup of the Orioles roster and the core pieces they have on the infield, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, Kobe Mayo, and Jordan Westburg, if Jackson's going to get regular at-bats in the big leagues, it's going to have to be in the outfield. And he can make it work. He probably can. Top of the 5th, 2 outs. Jackson hits a liner to shortstop Nico Horner, filling in for Dansby Swanson there at short. 7-pitch at bat, fights off a fastball high and is able to make it work. Had another hit later in the game that we'll talk about for tonight's turning point with Gunnar Henderson eventually coming up close.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And before we continue any further, go ahead and leave a comment down in the chat who your player of the game is. Shouldn't be hard to figure this one out on my end. However, saw some good stuff out of the bullpen as well. So if you've got some sleeper candidates, I'm all game. Top 8, 3-0 ball game. Ryan Brazier fills in for Matthew Boyd to start a fresh top of the 8th. And you could tell the command is quickly off. Walks Colton Cowser on 4 pitches. Colton had really been scuffling at the plate, so it's good for him to get on. And then Jeremiah Jackson fights a 2-seamer inside. He hits a line drive to center field for a base hit to put runners at first and second. He's now 3 for 6 in the big leagues. 25-year-old, Alabama roots, and the bat speed looks good. That's what Ben McDonald was saying on the broadcast. 1 out later, Taron Vavra getting his first at-bat since 2023. He lines out to short. Manager Craig Counsell for the Cubs brings in left-hander Caleb Thielbar to face Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westburg, and potentially Gunnar Henderson. Holliday, first pitch swinging, inexplicably grounds into a forced out. Nico Horner shoves to second base, so there are 2 outs. Jordan Westburg then behind in the count 0-2 to Thielbar, who's been nails all year. Sleeper all-star candidate, although middle relievers, setup men, not getting much of an opportunity to make the Midsummer Classic this year. 0-2 forcing fastball is just poorly located over the plate, and Westburg takes it to the back part of the field into right field. It's a 3-1 ball game with Kowser coming in to score. Not bad at all. 3-1 ball game, 2 outs. Gunnar Henderson behind in the count 1-2. And on a day with the wind blowing in and elite pitching having stifled the Orioles to this point, hanging sweeper behind in the count, and Gunnar puts his best swing on it. Hardest hit home run for Henderson. 111 miles an hour off the bat into deep center field, over the basket and into the crowd, right where my best buddy Trace Murray was sitting. 4-3 ball game. The O's hold on. They hang on. They win this game. Gunnar's 13th home run of the year. It is an Earl Weaver special, the 3-run bomb. Earl Weaver, a native of my hometown of St. Louis. And that's that. That's how the Orioles won this game. Shout out to the bullpen, though. This patchwork bullpen that GM Mike Elias is in charge of reconfiguring before 2026. This is a matter of who is the cream of the crop, who is going to rise to the occasion, and who is going to fizzle out. And tonight, everyone did their part, not allowing a single run after Tomoyuki Sagano gives up 3 against the Cubs. Corbin Martin working a well-fought 6th inning, scoreless. Grant Wolfram the 7th. Yenyer Cano inducing ground balls in the 8th. And Keegan Aiken, of course, making it interesting in the 9th. Well over 30 pitches. Walks 2 batters. The pinch hitter Carson Kelly with 1 out. Strikes out Kyle Tucker on a 2-2 changeup at the knees. He's just flailing at that. Walks Seiya Suzuki to put the game-winning run on base, and then a 7-pitch battle against MVP frontrunner Pete Crow Armstrong. Gets him on a changeup 2-2. He fans to strike out and end this game. And the big takeaway that I would give, not just for the bullpen, but also Tomoyuki Sagano, is the 1 through 4 hitters today did nothing. 1 for 16. An inconsequential single from Kyle Tucker. 3 walks from Seiya Suzuki. Didn't score a run on any of them. And I think that's the big takeaway. Is that, yeah, Tomoyuki Sagano did get hit a little bit. Missed on some pitches that he'd like to have back, but certainly deserved to win this game. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the second block. But before we go into this break, I would say, think about this bullpen in 2026. Yenyer Cano's got 3 years left of control. Corbin Martin does as well. Martin, a small sample size, now up to 8 innings pitched in the bigs. And really good stuff. I think bottom 6 really impressed me. Got Ian Happ to fly out to left on a first pitch. Martin, by the way, 3rd most appearances of the active relievers in the Orioles bullpen. It is Yenyer Cano, Keegan Aiken, and then Felix Bautista on the IL. Struck out Matt Shaw to end the inning in the bottom of the 6th on a nice curveball. Former Maryland product getting some from the O's. Grant Wolfram striking out Michael Busch on a high curveball. Tucker with that single, a slider up the middle. Struck out Pete Crow Armstrong on a high fastball, not exactly where Adley Rutschman had placed the glove, but he got him. Got Ian Happ to ground out to end the inning. This is really great stuff. Yenyer Cano striking out Reese McGuire as well. Coming up, we'll get into the start from Tomoyuki Sagano. We'll wrap up things and look ahead to the rubber game in Chicago. Who'd have thought? This is the Baltimore Orioles postcast. Please stick with us. Be sure to get those votes in for player of the game as well. I got to pull up some ad copy here. This show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Man, I remember when 5 Hour Energy hit the open market. They were insane. It was 2010. I was going to the Hammer Bodies Gymnasium near Page Avenue in St. Louis. I was trying to be a baseball player. Keyword is trying. And 5-Hour Energy always gave me some stuff. Always gave me a little bit of Michael's secret stuff. Chicago reference for you all. And if you're on the golf course, it's time for transfusion. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor to your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol. And for me, going to Top Golf, eventually, when I make some friends, I'll go play 18 holes. 5 years from now, I'm going to need 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It's all about good times with good people and good flavors. Grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bevy caught. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Everybody, shots, 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 shots. Kishan Algu. If I have mispronounced your name, please let me know in the chat and comment on YouTube, by the way, if you're watching on the replay. Says this is the best win of the year, hands down. Perhaps it is because of the quality of opponent. My mind goes back to the 22-8 game. I think back to Trevor Rogers going 8 innings against Texas. And this, given the lack of depth on the roster, Cedric Mullins out the door to New York. Laureano now a Padre, O'Hearn with him. And the pitchers that are missing as well. Yeah, the O's could have laid down on their backs. They could have not put on the big boy shoes, as was the money quote yesterday before the game. Man, I did not make reference to that yesterday, and I didn't plan to. So he says it's the best win of the year. Could be. Player of the game, by the way, is Gunnar Henderson. I hope that's not a confusion for any of you all. 3-run home run. Gunnar's power numbers on the rise. 13 home runs so far this year. He will need to put in some work to finish with 20, but it is within his reach. He can do it. Narniak comments on YouTube, Bradish, Povich, Beavers, and Basail all likely on the roster by August 15th. And if you haven't heard, Cade Povich is scheduled to get the first start Monday at Philadelphia. This is great. This is good stuff and good interaction for you. Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from and what you think. We're going to get out of here in 5 minutes. But first, we'll talk a little bit about Tomoyuki Sagano. Right-hander, pitched well enough to deserve the win today and just got hit a little bit early. To his credit, no damage from the 1 through 4 hole. General rule of thumb in the big leagues, do not let their best hitters beat you. If Willie Castro hits a freak triple that skirts off of Jeremiah Jackson's glove because he's playing his 8th game ever in right field, cool. Like, you don't deserve the short end of the stick there, but baseball is an unforgiving game, and life is messy. And Willie Castro, by the way, had the Orioles number when he was a Minnesota Twin. Those 2 series that ran in close proximity to each other, kind of the downswing for manager Brandon Hyde and Matt Clubb, which led to some big overhauling. 4-11 with a triple and a home run in that series at Camden Yards, including that doubleheader where the O's lost both. 2 for 10 in the Target Field series right before that. So hitting 285 this year against Baltimore as a Twin. So 1 out, 1-0 game in the bottom of the 4th. He hits this ball past Jeremiah Jackson, which a more seasoned outfielder, Tyler O'Neill, for example, probably plays that on a bounce. Tyler O'Neill, by the way, was supposed to be the DH today, but was scratched late due to sickness, which is not a general soreness issue. That's just good teammates staying away from your teammates when you're sick. You don't want the whole clubhouse getting mono. I would know. And so the infield's pulled in there. Jeremiah Jackson, what can you do? Probably learn from your mistakes there. You got a runner on third base. Infield's in for Nico Horner, hitting 371 with runners in scoring position this year. Gets a 4-seam fastball and a 3-2 count, and he punches it out into right field. Really good stuff. And made that game an even larger margin of difference for those Chicago Cubs. In fact, that made it a 3-0 ballgame. Nico Horner got the Cubs on the board in the bottom of the 2nd. Ian Happ with one out hits a cutter to the right field wall for a double. Willie Castro, by the way, hit a liner into left field that Colton Cowser trapped, originally called an out, overturned to a single, so runners on first and second with one out. Nico Horner then hits a sweeper into the ivy on a bounce. A double into left field. Colton Cowser, as he's taught, immediately throws his hands up. It's a 1-0 ball game. Runners parked at second and third with one out. Probably stops the bleeding there and keeps the inning relatively composed for Tomoyuki Sagano. He gives up a sac fly to Reese McGuire to left field that made it a 2-0 game, then strikes out Matt Shaw on a sweeper, a foul tip to end the second. By that point, Tomo was approaching 40 pitches, and it kind of derailed his start. Gives up 3 earned runs over 5 innings. And to be honest, not the worst thing in the world. 5 strikeouts for Tomo, ERA sits at 4.42, 5 hits and a walk. That does not come around to score. We'll wrap things up here just on the subject of this whole, what does this season even look like? Snapping the scoreless streak. Gunnar Henderson DHing last minute, hitting a home run. All the Chicago Cubs wearing number 23 in honor of the late Ryan Stanberg. Fought pancreatic cancer, one of the best second basemen of all time, the best Cubs second baseman of all time. When he retired the most home runs by a second baseman at that position, had the pleasure of being in the same room as him, or at least being right next to him at Northwestern's Ryan Field 3 years ago. Never met the guy, but a favorite player in the Slabaugh household. The O's also claimed Ryan Noda off of waivers from the Chicago White Sox as they attempt to fill more spots on their 40-man roster. Sits at around 36 as of Saturday afternoon. First base outfielder hybrid with a little bit of pop, broke in with Oakland a couple years ago, and for the Athletics, hit 16 home runs, I believe. I'd have to double check that. So there's that. The O's carry on, and they have a 2:20 first pitch to potentially win this series and be a sleeper series for the Chicago Cubs. I previewed this series with Cody Del Mundo of the Wrigleyville Forever podcast, and he was scared. He also wanted Charlie Morton and was asking about Zach Eflin. But before the trade deadline, we talked about this series. And from a stats perspective, you wouldn't really get a feel for how the Orioles are shaping up. This year is very unpredictable. And for them to pull this game out and steal this one speaks volumes. 2:20 first pitch on Masson to right-hander Brandon Young. 9th MLB start upcoming, looking for his first major league win. He's 0-5 with a 6.63 ERA, coming off his first quality start against Toronto. That ended in a 3-2 win as Adley Rutschman hit the game-winning RBI late. His counterpart is right-hander Colin Ray. Ray, definitely a bottom-of-the-rotation starter, has filled in admirably, has done some long relief work as well, particularly earlier in the year for the Cubs. 8-5 with a 4.23 ERA. And that'll wrap things up here on the Orioles postcast. Brandon Young and then Cade Povich. We'll see how far this ship can go. Final score tonight. The Baltimore Orioles 4 and the Chicago Cubs 3. Good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow night.